Your biggest risk is one you'll have to take each and every single day that you wake up and you show up for your business, for your brand, for your communities, and for yourself. And that's to show up authentically. Now, I know you're probably saying, Lauren Makk, get the hell out of here. You're going to tell me to stand up and show up authentically every day? Like, that's easy. And you're right. It's so easy that it's hard, right? Because we've been taught through all these fancy business schools that authenticity doesn't have a place in business, right? Conform, do what's right, do what everybody else is doing, get that bottom line, right? And so it's hard to show up as your authentic self. So I thought today, well, let's just slow that all down because authenticity, it's just one of those words that people kind of throw around like a buzzword, right? So I said, let's just slow this whole thing down and let's just take a real look at what authenticity even means. So Webster defines authenticity as being true to yourself, your own personality, your values, your spirit, and your character. Okay, that's a lot of words. To put it simply, it's your values, your ideals, and your actions align. All right? Now for me, I call it my God job, my purpose. So I'm here to tell you today that authenticity is your superpower. Now, let me just help you figure out how to harness it all. And I'm going to give you 3 benefits, just 3 little things you can stick in your pocket and take with you along the way today so that you can utilize these in your everyday life. I'm going to show you the benefits of how it all works out. Okay, so the first benefit of authenticity is that it is a precursor for effective decision making. You know how I know that? Because it's instinctual. It's primal. It's something that no one has given you or can teach you. It is your God-given thing. It is in you from the core. And leaders who follow their instincts, right, who follow that God-given talent, that God-given thing, that drive, they are able to make effective decisions because it comes from inside. It's something that you just know. You already had it in you all along, like the Wizard of Oz. And no one needs to teach it to you. And you can make an instinctual decision at the drop of a dime. In 1984, Sonny Vaccaro was working for an athletic shoe company up in Beaverton, Oregon. Okay. And he was heading their basketball division of this athletic shoe company. See, they made shoes for runners and for athletes that were running for the Olympics. And this basketball shoe division was just some old kind of side hustle, little side project that they thought that they could use to diversify their brand. Well, Sonny Vaccaro lived and breathed basketball. It was his innate talent. He had an eye for scouting basketball talent, and that was his thing. And so when that little shoe company decided, you know what, maybe we should just put a little money into this basketball thing. If it doesn't work out, it's fine. There are other brands who are forging their own lanes in the basketball world, and other basketball players are wearing their shoes. we'll just give a little money to it, see what happens, and we'll take a gamble. So they gave him $250,000, and they said, go out and spend this money, get as many players as you can, and put them in our basketball shoes. Well, Sonny Vaccaro had an innate thing inside of him. He said, I'm not going to spend it on 10 players. I'm going to spend it on one. Attaboy. Yeah. So he took a gamble. He took a dice, rolled the dice. I'm in Vegas, so you know I'm here for it. And he spent it all on one third draft senior high school basketball player coming out of North Carolina. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. See, that shoe company was Nike, and that basketball player was Michael Jordan. And that year, Nike had projected $3 million in athletic shoe sales from basketball. And instead, after signing Michael Jordan, they made $162 million. 162. See, that thing that Sonny Vaccaro had inside of him, you all have it inside of you too. I'm about to cry. But you have it inside of you too. That innate thing that God gave you is inside of you too, or you wouldn't be business owners and risk takers. You wouldn't be here in this room tonight. And I want you to harness that superpower and take it with you as you go into the world. Okay, so now we know you're going to be an effective decision maker. Let me tell you what else you'll get out of it, out of harnessing your authenticity. Trust and credibility. Trust and credibility lead to more business opportunities. And I'm going to tell you how. Has anyone ever been embarrassed by something? Yeah? All right, well, me too. And I was really embarrassed by it. I was ashamed of it. When I was 19 years old, I weighed almost 300 pounds. And I was beyond ashamed of that. Things had gotten out of control in my life, and I turned to food, and by the time I had lost the weight, I really wanted just to keep it in the background. I didn't want to think about it. It was over. I'd lost the weight. And then I was rewarded with a great job and television and cool new friends and cute boys, honey. But that's a story for another day. And I never wanted to think about the past. So I tucked my shirt together and I walked onto the stage. And I sat down next to all these beautiful people. And they asked me, Tyra Banks asked me, well, Lauren, why don't you tell me something about you that no one would know by just looking at you? Well, what the hell was I going to say? I mean, furniture stores are not that interesting, okay? And I didn't have a Netflix special, and I didn't have a big restaurant on the Las Vegas Strip, and I hadn't married Dwayne Johnson just yet. So what was I going to say? Hey, Tyra, I'm here in my Sears suit. So I took a deep breath, and I told the one truth that I knew to be true, right? The one thing that I had. I said, well, Tyra, you know, I've never really shared this with anybody. It's very hard to tell a supermodel about it, too. But one thing you may not know about me after looking at me is that I'd lost over 140 pounds. Thank you. Well, thank you for clapping, because the room then felt silent. I could just feel the air sucked out, and everyone was leaned in. And I had to keep telling my story. I had to keep telling them the why I got to where I was and how I'd lost the weight and everything that I was doing, you know, for myself and showing up for myself ever since. And when the audition was over, I walked off that stage and I was in tears. I couldn't believe I just told Tyra Banks about my weight loss and my thighs, while these girls are sitting over there with their dangling little legs hanging out and looking all cute. I felt so inferior, I felt so silly, and I got home and I just kept cursing myself like, why did I do that? Why did I say that thing? Couldn't I have made up some old lie about sleeping with Dwayne Johnson? Anyhow, I didn't. And 2 weeks later, I got the call I'd been waiting for, that I had gotten the job. There's me in that Sears skirt, by the way. And I've never been more grateful. I'm gonna tell you why. Because each day, I got to share my story and my journey and what I was going through with everybody in America. I became their homegirl, and I became someone that they could relate to. You see, people can relate to somebody who's been through something. They can't relate to dangly legs and supermodels. time I was in a much better suit, though, I will say that. So I'm here to testify that when you are showing up authentically and you get to be yourself and you get to harness those things that you may not be so proud of, you build community, you build trust, you build camaraderie, you build a team of people who are behind you, who are willing to support you no matter what you do. And so please remember that as you continue on. Let me tell you the next benefit of authenticity: an increase in innovation and creativity. Whew, this is good. You see, when you are authentic and you show up authentically, the ripples you reach, you have no idea what it goes to. See, authenticity is the tie that binds us all together. And when you show up and show out as yourself, it gives others the freedom to do so too. That breeds creativity, and I'm going to show you how. Has anyone heard of Google's ITO program? No? Oh, finally. Finally! Well, let me teach you about it. You see, Google enacted an ITO program, and ITO stands for Innovation Time Out. It's a program that they offer with their employees where they encourage them to spend 80% of their time on Google products and projects and 20% of their time doing passion projects, right? Now, I know that sounds crazy, right? Think about that. That's 4 days a week on Google stuff, and then one day you get to hang out and do your passion project. Like, who does that? Who pays somebody to hang out and do your little thing? Well, I'll tell you all about the benefits of that. You see, the heads of Google said, I need a break. And if I need a break, then my employees need a break. And that trickle-down effect made them millions of dollars. See, those passion projects turned into real big products, things that you and I, and probably everybody in this room, use today. Gmail and Google News and AdSense. Now think about it. Doesn't everybody in here have a Gmail account? Exactly. That has trickled down to every corner of the world. That one act, that one allowance, that one freedom, that one act of authenticity. I want you to think about that as you continue on in your businesses and your brands, how you can continue to forge the mark of authenticity, how you can specialize in it as your own brand, your own personal style for your business. And then think about what it would affect your bottom line. What does that look like when your managers and staff and administration work for you in that capacity? What does that affect their 80% when they feel they can be free 20% of the time? And then how does that ripple reach their families and their relationships as mothers and fathers and friends and children? And then what generation can that affect thereafter, right? It's pretty powerful when you think about it. You know, as I sit here and talk about ripples reached, there is one leader that I think we really need to acknowledge, and I really want to show him as an example. He is the reason we are all here tonight. He is the founder of authenticity in terms of bringing us all together here, and his heart is as big as his success, which is why he cared enough to create this entire program. And I just really want to honor someone who shows up and shows out authentically. Mr. Todd Alt. Thank you so much. Superman, you like that? Look at those muscles. Look at those muscles. Oh, he's probably back there like, is that Trading Spaces? Anyway, so as you guys go out in this world and after you've had this exciting experience and you've had all of this, you've learned so much here in this space this weekend, I just want to remind you that you carry the torch. You carry the torch of authenticity, right? And so don't let it die here. Shine that light and give other people the credence to do so too. Respect them, respect their ideas, because you never know what can come from that.